Good morning, Internet. Welcome back to the Highway with Kyle Shutt. I am Kyle Shutt, and I have got a treat for y'all this week. We've got one of my heroes, Mr. Dave Wyndorf from Monster Magnet, on the show. That's right, it doesn't get much better than that. We had such a great conversation. We talked about, everything, from the birth of FM radio to the death of FM radio. We talked about their upcoming covers album, talked about fan involvement, and even smoking on that weed. He is such a sincere gentleman and made me feel like $1,000,000, so I was really excited about this month's episode. If you like what you've been hearing lately, you can find us on patreon.com/thehighway. Help us out a little bit, get yourself a shout out. Let's see, who do we got to shout out this week? We got to give it a shout out to Ben Shutt. Another Shutt out there? I don't know this guy. Hey, Ben, if you're out there, holler at me. Let's be friends. There's not that many Shutts. We also got to thank Ryan Case, my homie Tim Fay, and Ken Hughes, of course. And we got to give a wicked six-pack shout-out to Rose Graham. She put some beer in my fridge. She also puts a smile on my face. Thanks, beautiful. We've also got to give some mad love to our sponsors, Heil Sound. If you like the way I sound, it's because there's a Heil in front of me. If you can't sign up for our Patreon, I completely understand. I just sincerely appreciate y'all listening. And if you could give us a like or a follow or a subscribe or whatever the hell else kind of button they put on the app of your choice, it really helps us out. Now it's time to do this show, because there is no try way. There's only my way.
The Highway.
How you doing, bud?
I'm good, man. How the hell are you?
I've been better.
What do you mean? I don't get it.
All right,
But
yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah. How's the shit show treating you?
But you know, you're totally pro, dude. I listen to the podcast. You got the gift of gab.
Hey, I really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
You know, some people can and some people can't. You know, and there's a lot of people who can't now. And I was like, I wonder if he's just going to be like stoned out of his mind and fuck it up. I mean, I don't know you, but you know.
Yeah, the show is called The Highway, but ironically, I do find myself having to abstain during most of the interviews, just because I like for the guest to shine, and I don't like to just be a bumbling idiot, or more so than I am.
No, it's real. It's totally pro, dude. You got a future in this. You got a future in this business.
Well, Dave Wyndorf from Monster Magnet, everybody, one of my favorite bands. Seriously, I have smoked so much weed to your records. It's ridiculous. And I don't think I've seen y'all since, I think 2015 might have been the last time. You were out with Royal Thunder, who's another fantastic band. And
Great. Yeah. Nice guys.
Really, really great band. We took them on quite a few tour dates as well. But so... what's shaking? I know you've got a covers album in the works and stuff like that. I've always really enjoyed the Monster Magnet covers, so I'm really excited to see what you bring to the table this time.
Yeah, this one's it was the right time to do it too. You know, I mean, as you know, like putting out an all originals record when you can't tour it is just like throwing your tours away.
It is, and the songs, and stuff.
It's everything. It's like throwing a pebble into a waterfall and the thing just disappears. So what do you do? And I know like a lot of guys were doing online shows and stuff like that, but I just couldn't bring myself to do that.
Me either. So, good on you for doing that. No offense to anyone doing it, but it's just, it's not the same.
Dude, it's like it's pathetic.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like
the game Duck Hunter, like that arcade game. It's like you take everything cool about hunting, like holding a gun, being out in the woods, breathing the fresh air, and you just dump it down into a little rinky-dink plastic box that you just hit a button. Yeah. It's like the same. It's not the same. It's not the same.
It's so tough. I mean, live is live. Mm-hmm. You can't mimic live.
No, you can't.
No matter how hard you try. It's not the same experience, even from an audio standpoint, and that's what gets me most. I don't even like live albums. I don't even like because because it just doesn't get what you get. When you stand in front of a band, your ears compress.
Yep.
The volume compresses your ears. You get what that band is trying to do. As soon as you start messing with that computation there, you're playing with the original experience.
Yeah.
And I count on the original experience to carry off what I want to say. Everything else makes me nervous. Like, oh, it's not going to come off. You know?
Also, like being on camera too, like adds a whole different aspect to it, because it's one thing to perform in front of people and stuff, but even when you play like big festivals, when they have like the Jumbotron cameras in front of you, it's still
horrible.
It puts you in a different mind space, you know, and it makes it harder to get lost in.
Dude, I wind up looking at myself. on the Jumbotron. You know, trying to get the Elvis move. You know, it's like, it's insane.
Yeah. It's kind of like that's another reason why I just like doing the podcast as audio only, is because like the video aspect of it too. I don't like being on camera. I don't like seeing myself and stuff like that. I'm sure I'm going to have to get over that at some point, but it's just weird. It's weird.
Not necessarily.
Plus we're not getting any prettier, you know, day by day. So.
Oh man, you should see me right now. I look like Jonah Hex, you know? I look like Jonah X after he got the brand, the curse of the brand of the demon.
Right.
Yeah, it's bad. The whole rock thing. I think the reason it worked originally, the original rock that most people have knowingly or unknowingly played off of all the time, was that it was a limited amount of viewing of the people. It was a couple of photographs on a record, and then you go see him live, and maybe you see him on TV once in a while, but it was never overexposed. That was not allowed. Now we live in an age where everything is hyper exposed, and it's like it's sucking all the mystery out of it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that was a huge part of the Sword early in the day. JD was very against being filmed all the time, like filming this and that, just like kind of keeping it as shrouded in mystery as possible. And even back then it was kind of difficult, but these days it's just it's expected of you. You know, your fans want, if they like you, they want as much of you as possible, you know, around every corner.
I know what you mean. It's like, it's weird, the expectations of a new normal as far as live goes. I don't know if the people are going to hate me for this, but I don't know if they should be appeased. I don't know if fans should be appeased.
I don't, you know, and this may be an unpopular opinion too, but it's kind of goes back to like, you know, some of you people, you don't deserve entertainment. You know, some of you do.
Well, you said some of you. You said it, Kyle. I didn't. I didn't say that.
Yeah. But I mean, as far as being an artist, like I feel like the number one enemy of the artist is just people's expectations. You know, like we're not really allowed to be free artists anymore. I mean, you can be, I guess, but it's people just they're needy. Man, we're really going there, aren't we? Oh my God. They are,
and you know it's important. I always have to I know, but you know somebody should talk about this, because nobody talked about this when it was happening.
Yeah,
and I complained about it the whole time for the last 10 years. Ever since broadband hit, like 25 years ago, but when it got more and more into the normal, when you start seeing people show up with stacks and stacks of stuff to get autographed, and you see people start to sell autograph sessions backstage at a rock show, you know this fucking thing has jumped the shark. This is not cool. This was never cool. When I was a kid, now I'm older, it would be the most uncool thing in the world to like, what? You're going to pay money and go back and the rock star is going to pretend to be your friend? This is horse shit. It's whore. Horse shit with a capital whore. It's like, this is ridiculous. You know what you do? Do what I do. You go out and you surprise people when they're not looking. You grab them, you hug them, you kiss them, you sign everything, and then you disappear.
I really like fan involvement, and I'm right there with you with that. That means so much more to people when you just go surprise them like that.
Yeah, just show up or bring them on a bus and have a party. Like Master Magnet had an open door policy for years. It was just a giant party every night, every single night. Just come on in. There's no charge. You know, like have a beer, like do that, and whoever was bold enough or so inclined to come and do it, they did it. And the people that didn't want to do it didn't. So we wound up hanging with the people we wanted to, and I wasn't in some part of some weird modern assumption that all rock people and entertainers owe some sort of vaudevillian autograph photo shoot.
Yeah.
Because that's what it reminds me of. It doesn't remind me of rock now. It reminds me of vaudeville. And guess what happened to vaudeville? You know what I mean? It's like, you don't. Look what happened to movies.
Yeah.
Why do movies suck so much? Why do Marvel movies suck so fucking much? They got no teeth, no balls, nothing, except for a lot of money and a lot of really, really picky fans getting every point checked off their list because of algorithmic study on what they want.
Yeah, you know what?
So with no surprises.
Yeah, totally. And you know what? One thing that's crazy that I saw was that there's people out there that work with Marvel that are scouring Twitter and seeing what the fans want, or seeing if they're guessing like whatever plot twist is going to come up in the series. And then they're actually filming multiple endings so they can choose as they edit which ones that they think the fans want to see or shit like that. That just blows my mind. Like, they're not even creating art anymore. It's literally just churning out stuff to appease people just to make as much money as possible before the bottom falls out.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah, I mean, and you can see it too. And so what happens is you don't get many surprises. And like, that's what you want. That's what I always wanted when I was a kid. Surprise me.
Yeah.
You know,
they just don't make them like they used to. I hate saying that, but it's true. I mean, like, I'm obviously, from a different generation, but I still grew up when, movies were, filmed, and there was like an element of art to making that film. And now it's just anybody with a digital camera and a shitload of money can animate whatever they want. It's
but you know what, man? Crazy. I mean, when we, you say that, and I'm totally with you. And and I was there when you were watching your movies when you were a kid. Okay, I was a grown up, but between you and me, I really haven't advanced much more than like 30 years old. Called Arrested Development.
That's what happens.
In my brain, anyway. In my face, that's like hell.
Yeah.
But they, with the technology we have today and all the great stuff, so everybody can make anything, you would think, just on the basis of all that creativity and all those people, that it would be the greatest time ever. Mm-hmm. Why isn't it the greatest time ever?
It's something I think about a lot, and like it's more profitable, I think, for a company to, instead of investing in a new intellectual property, just to rehash an old one. Because, this is another reason I think it is because honestly, like, this world kind of sucks, and people want to go back to that time when they felt magical and like that sense of wonder you have when you're a kid and stuff like that, and that all is kind of centered around whatever He-Man, Thundercats, Ghostbusters, things like that. So that's why those things are getting rehashed over and over and over again, and it's happening a lot faster than it used to. I feel like how many times have they redone Spider-Man? It's just ridiculous. Where I'm just like, can you not make up a new character that's bad at before? Or just how many fucking amazing comic books are out there that are probably already been optioned for film that nobody's doing anything with, Dude,
I mean, all that great stuff like The Authority, all that Warren Ellis.
God, I love The Authority.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if they made a decent movie about that? But something, it's too heavy for them.
I know.
They won't do it.
Yeah, a gay superhero? We can't film that. Oh my, it's just like, good Lord.
I mean, they will. They'll film the gay superhero, but it'll be gay. You know what I mean? It won't be gay. It'll be gay. If you know what I mean. It won't be done realistically, or meaning it'll be so politically correct in a way that there won't be any surprises.
Yeah. Did you read Fear Agent? I always thought that would make a fantastic movie.
Fear Agent was kick ass.
I know, man. Rick Remender is
what a great comic.
Great writer. I know. God, I loved it.
And it was so great for so long. I mean, that was a long series. That was real good.
6 books, something like that. Yeah.
I mean, Tony Moore, he drew his ass off in that comic, and Jerome Opeña was drawing that as well. Mm-hmm. Two of my favorite comic guys. Fear Agent. Most of the Remender stuff would make good movies. I think. One of these. And sometimes I think it's like, I love the medium of comics. Like, I've loved it since I was a kid. For for the reasons you love it as a kid, because it's kind of made for you. You know, you could tell that's somebody wrote this for like a 14-year-old boy. Like, you know, it's perfect. But then over the years, as I got older, I started to appreciate the creators more, and the fact that they could keep characters like this alive for so long. It was more about the art and just about the storytelling ability in static images, which is really cool. You know, left to right eye movement, stop. You're the editor. You're the editor. You could stop. You could freeze frame with your eyes.
And it's just like any other book. Like, you're forced to use your imagination to fill in the gaps, you know, and you almost feel like you walk away from it feeling like you watched a really awesome movie.
Yeah, that's so cool. And then, you know, and then they get to surprise you with a 2-page spread or whatever. And you're just like, boy, this is really cool shit. I loved it forever, and I continue to love it. Marvel and DC is kind of funky these days, not that hot. I think the tail's wagging the dog as far as people are more impressed with the movies than they are with the comics.
Yeah.
When it should be the other way around.
It's tough to keep up with the comics. I get it for your average person, just like on a weekly or monthly basis or whatever, you know, and especially this is something that I started shying away from the major publishers, is because I would read Marvel comics, you know, like the monthly series, and then half the pages were anti-drug ads, and I was just like, I'm like, literally, this is what I'm paying for. I'm paying for this shitty anti-drug ad when my favorite thing to do is smoke weed and read comics. You know, it's just
yeah, totally.
So I just buy the trades now.
Yeah, me too. I buy the trades, no ads. And look online too, and check out what I'm going to like or what I'm going to buy. There's places where you can check out whole comic books and stuff and see if I'm going to like it or not, because they're real expensive. But it's one of the last places where full on, you know, graphic storytelling is alive. I mean, illustration isn't part of the commercial landscape anymore in America.
Yeah.
You know? So if you look back, you know, if you're a mutant like me, I go back to like mid 20th century and look at all the paperback book covers and all that stuff. That was like fantastic.
I know.
Because all this commercial illustration was all badass, the science fiction covers. So cool. So now, right now, the only place where that kind of stuff lives is in comics. So I'll always pay attention to it.
Yeah, and it's like, there's something about it too, where like if somebody really takes the time to craft like this really intense graphic scene or whatever like that, it's almost perfect. Whereas if you watch it in a movie, you know, it just kind of comes across as like torture porn or something like that. It's really not as appealing, but it can be so much more effective, I feel like, in comics. They just have more freedom that way, I think. Yeah,
totally. I mean, and it's something, it's still, all right, it's not pencil on paper, but it's static. It's there. If somebody colored it right, it almost has more depth, no matter how good the CGI is.
Right.
On the thing, it's spectacular for a second, but it blows through my brain really quick. And I keep going back to the comics and open it up to a cool 2-page spread and stuff. That's the shit. I mean, look at that. It's like, that's the bar to reach for. And I think they try to do it in the movies, but, you know, whatever.
It's hard to do.
Hey, didn't you guys have the best covers?
Thank
album
you.
Covers.
We definitely spent the time trying to make a unique looking album cover that just like jumps off the shelf. You know what I mean? That wasn't just like some kind of trite, you know.
Man, Warp Riders. That's fucking like Warp Riders. That's 1960s science fiction paperback shit right there. Beautiful.
Thank you very much.
And didn't you get J.R. Williams III to do a cover?
Yeah, J.H. Williams.
J.H. Williams, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. He did Apocryphon. Yeah, well, we noticed his work with, I think it was Batwoman when he was doing hydrology. Yeah. And he combines like mixed media with watercolor, with illustration, with painting. It's just like his, I hate to call it collage because he makes it look like one thing, but he's just an incredible artist. I should get him on the
He really is. He could draw. You should. He could draw anything too. Like as a natural artist, that guy could just sit down. He could bang out a standard comic page in a second. He's really, really good.
Yeah, and he's very good at he does handwritten lyrics if you want him to for any album package or whatever, and he really takes the time to make really cool handcrafted lyrics like that.
Really,
yeah.
I'm gonna take your hint there.
Call him up,
man.
Just call him.
I will.
He's the nicest guy. He loves Monster Magnet. I promise you he'll make a record for you, or he'll do a cover with you.
Awesome. I'm working with a guy now named Joe Tate, who did the cover for this one. This record's called A Better Dystopia, and did it like a black light poster.
Nice.
Because the whole record, it's a record of covers, but it's the most obscure covers most people have ever heard. I doubt if most people will know one of those songs, maybe a Hawkwind song.
Yeah, was it stuff that inspired you when you were younger and that you wanted to kind of like shine a little light on, like for people that might not know about it?
Yep.
That's awesome.
I'm like been a record mutant since I was 12. Hunting down records, and you know what it's like when you're a kid. You want the heavy stuff, or you want the psychotic stuff that nobody else heard of.
Yeah.
So I mean, I was doing this stuff in like 1971. Like, I got something that's heavier than you, and and I didn't have that many friends, but like my friends who record friends were like, "Where do you get this stuff?" There was this weird time in rock back in the ancient days between 60s pop, which got kind of psychedelic. It kind of like all blew up in 68 when FM radio started. FM radio used to be freeform in its most, in the truest sense of the truest definition of the word freeform. I mean, they get down there and there wasn't that much rock out yet, so they would just play whole albums all day and all night with no commercial.
Love it. And
so I'm a little kid and I would hear this stuff and they would play like the whole Blue Cheer album, whole Jimi Hendrix, whole this stuff. And I was a tiny kid, like, what is this place? There's no ads or no nothing. And it just for years went on. By the time 69, 70 came along, they had been going for a couple of years and they had amassed a great collection of music that was created by bands for that format. Mm-hmm. And so this is completely different than pop music. There's no ads on it, right? So these guys aren't making money off this.
Right.
So bands are getting together to make music for people who want to listen to crazy stuff just for that reason. It's almost like unthinkable today that, you know what I mean? That somebody would do something for any other reason about, well, how am I gonna merchandise this? How am I gonna monetize it? But so it filled my head with all this weird stuff. So there's all these weird bands like post-psychedelic, early proto-metal, kind of a weird underground of rock right under the charts. The charts were like Neil Young and James Taylor. It was all soft rock. The end of the 60s was like a freak out.
Yeah.
People lost their minds. And under there was all this weird stuff. And it was the birth of hard rock too, Zeppelin and Sabbath. And so that's what most of these songs are from that time period, but they're the ones that, never made it at all. And they sound good together. It sounds like a good record.
That's awesome.
It sounds like a good album.
I mean, just putting y'all sound on that too is just going to sound great. Cause I loved your Donovan cover that was on, was that on Mastermind? What was that one on?
Thanks,
Three Kingfishers. Just such a rad cover. So if it's anything like that, if you're going to breathe that sort of life into those songs, man, I'm really, really excited to hear it.
It's so much fun to mess with that stuff because, I mean, this is a lot. I'm a lot more on traditionally representing those songs on this record. Mm. But there's so much melody and subtlety from in a lot of old stuff, British rock that I like to mess around with, like Donovan. I mean, it was a different time.
Yeah.
So it's a different mindset and there's lots of good stuff to pick. It's so weird that here we are, and it's, 50 years since that kind of rock. And we got classic rock radio, and classic rock radio plays 20 songs?
Yeah, and that's it. And I swear to God, they play that Joe Walsh song one more time. I'm going to lose my mind.
I know. And Billy Joel, Brenda and Eddie, going steady in the summer of 75.
Oh, dun, dun. Did you ever hear his first band before he became Billy Joel?
Yes.
Attila. That shit was crazy. Attila. Yeah. That was one of those things I had to find when I was crate digging in record stores. Nowadays, you can just get on YouTube and look it up in a second, but that was some hidden knowledge back then.
Everybody tried the hard rock thing at one point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it was the next big thing. And you ever hear Bob Welch's band, Paris?
No.
Bob Welch was in Fleetwood Mac before Fleetwood Mac made it really big.
Mm-hmm.
And he wrote these really sappy. He had a song called Sentimental Lady that was this beautiful ballad and was on the radio. And then he got the hard rock bug and he did a record with a band called Paris. And it sounds amazing. It's hard rock. It's like, you got to hear it.
I cannot wait to look that up. Yeah, I'm going to listen to that right when we get off the phone.
The first one, not the second one. The second one's jazzy, but the first one.
Okay. You gotta go jazz fusion at some point, right? You know,
everybody did back then. Can you imagine if we did that today? Some bands do it, like Tame Impala and those guys. Or who's the band from Australia that makes more records than anybody?
Oh,
King Gizzard and the Lizard.
Yeah. They're all over the place.
They do too many records, but it's like, enough, stop, you know. But they go into all that stuff. Look what we can do.
Yeah, new music, man. It's tough to get into new stuff these days. I just have a hard time like finding new bands. I guess just because it's a different world. You know, there's not just a record store you can go to and look on the wall at the new releases and be like, oh, that looks cool. It's just it's so much.
It's a total different thing. It's like I'm looking for where it's going to break through. I mean, it's like it's not going to break through like it ever did before because of structure,
right?
Of our perception of music, our need for music. It may be different with you and me. I mean, we're different ages and stuff, but we're still kind of both on the side of, at least there were, memories of the old structure.
Yeah, definitely.
Right now, if you're talking kids, 18 or 19-year-old kid, he's got no need to express himself through someone else's music.
Right. He
can express himself, or she can express herself with her own words. Basically, that's how kids express themselves now. I mean, they may wear their shirts and they may, they have their list of they have their here's my jams, but they don't put the kind of faith that people from years past put in their music. Basically, the whole art of the 21st century is the art of yourself, which is would be cool if everybody was cool. But they're not. So, you know what I mean?
You are so right. Oh my God.
If everybody is really talented, it would be great. But guess what? More people suck than don't suck. And because internet democracy, which is, totally, I mean, what else could it be? It has to be. This is the way it's going to go.
Yeah.
If the people decide that they're going to want to invest in cool shit, whatever that would be, they have to define the criterion of what that cool shit's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And, if it's like mumble rap and like whiny pop, well, the kids have spoken.
Yep.
They came out and they said, we want this. Like, women singing like girls, dudes singing like little boys, over compressed vocals on samples. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I remember when like my parents heard me listening to Slayer, and I just be like, y'all just don't get it, and like now I feel like that. I'm like, wow, I just do not get y'all. Like,
it's like Billie Eilish or something. Billie Eilish, she's like the perfect example of the current modern entertainer.
Mm-hmm.
She gets it. It's like, just be as vulnerable as you possibly can at all times. Don't really bust any big moves, and whisper like you're whispering in someone's ear. And you're doing vocals now that you could never do in the past. Like you used to have to, in order to record, you had to sing louder. But now with the great compression you have now, they can record whole hit songs of people just going like this and like that. And you're like, all right, at what point am I supposed to like get up out of my chair and raise my fist in the air and go, fuck yeah? And they're like, no, you're not supposed to do it. The whole thing is that you just kind of live with it.
Yeah.
And they just put it on in the background while they're doing social media or something. Yeah. It's fucking weird.
Yeah, it is weird. Music has definitely been relegated to, the background noise. Unfortunately, I still love rock records. Like there's just not that many bands
No.
that are dedicated to it. I've talked about this before, but it's the motivation to do it is just gonna kind of attract a different kind of person than it used to. But I have faith.
I like Europe. I go to Europe all the time. Europe's my place because there seems to be a heritage. They're concerned with heritage in Europe and legacy. They're not afraid of, or they don't turn their backs on people who want to change their mind throughout their career and change their music or still rock out. It's not really regulated to the oldies pile that it is over here.
Yeah.
Once you get to a certain thing over here in America, it's like, all right, oldies over here, young people over here. I go to Europe and play, and we're constantly get more young people, like a steady infusion of young people at the show. So it hasn't totally aged out, which I thought it would have a long time ago. I mean, Monster Mag's been around for like 30 years now. I can't believe it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. But it's still alive. And the bands that come out of there, all right, there may be a lot of cookie cutter stoner rock and all that kind of stuff, but at least they're trying.
Mm-hmm.
It's the States that worries me.
Yeah, that's a weird point for me, just because like I've never experienced much, just like kind of much more success in Europe than we did in the States. With the States was always like we had to just beat it down, and it finally worked out for us way better than Europe. Where I swear every other rock band has like such a better experience in Europe. It's I think about it quite often. A friend of mine had a theory that just that in the reason that rock works a lot better in Europe sometimes is just because they're not competing with country music. There's really not like a huge country music scene, whereas in the States it's either like hip hop, pop or country. That's the big shit that rock and roll is competing with. They just don't have that in Europe, so there's no real competition. Yeah.
No, but they have their own country. They have like Schlager and stuff. They have their own goofy competition. They have Schlager music and stuff. I think it's more like there is rock, the tradition of rock and the history of rock is still very much respected. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of snark in Europe. Snark is a particularly American thing, mm-hmm. where people were, we make fun of a lot of stuff, and it happens. It's going to happen. It is funny, but you don't see a lot of people like, oh, well, it's not this again. They'll actually look into it. They don't have a lot of rock radio. Not that radio matters that much over here anymore, but they'll have their press is different. They still have lots of zines and lots of physical product.
And they still have TV channels that play music videos and stuff too. That's still a huge thing over there.
TV channels that play music videos. And the most important, they have a live culture that is still affordable.
Yeah.
And they have, they spend really, really a lot of attention on getting their venues right, from small all the way up to large. Mm-hmm. Really, they can take care of their venues and stuff. So there's a word of mouth that happens over there, which is much like it used to happen here, all the way from the 70s into the 80s, 90s, where people will go and like actually talk about this stuff, and bands can go over there and actually work it. Mm-hmm. If they work it hard enough, you can get a word of mouth thing. Yeah. In the States, it's usually like it's all over when people start seeing your YouTube things before and they just decide not to go or whatever. I saw it on YouTube, I didn't go. And it's like, well, that's not fair.
I have experienced that.
Sure. I think everybody has. It's like, what do you do? Like, I'm lucky because at one point, I decided to kind of live in the fourth dimension. Mm-hmm. Like I'd been on a major label, and I wanted to get off it because this was like right after Napster, and you could see that the whole ship was sinking. You know, you could see what was happening. It's like once you start giving out shit for free, you're fucked. Mm-hmm. Hey, everybody's getting it for free, and it was like, sounds cool, yeah, rock, but it's really not cool. And you can see that the record companies reacted to that horribly. They just raised the prices on CDs, and they just kind of like
turned their
killing
back. They should have embraced it from day one and just like, yeah. I mean, it was gonna end anyway. You know what I mean? But they definitely missed the boat on that. And now
I think they turned a lot of people. They turned a lot of people off. You know, and so at that point, I remember saying to myself, "I got to get out of here, man." Like America's creeping me out. I don't know what's going to happen. Everything is going really, really, really quick from grunge 90s to kind of like wacky DJ music and new metal. Mm-hmm. And I had no place in either of those things, you know. So I was like, I think I'm going to just kind of get off the major label, sign with a European one, and just kind of go over there for a long time.
Kudos to Monster Magnet for never having an awkward new metal phase, like every heavy metal band did in like 95 to 99, you know.
The brutality. Oh,
I don't know. I want to hear you rap. That might be.
I could do it. It would be ridiculous. I heard your first one with Neil Fallon. That was a great interview you did with him.
Well, thank you. Yeah, Neil's he's a good old friend, man. I love that man so much.
He's an awesome lyricist, that guy.
If that's the thing that like some people may not like Clutch's sound necessarily at first or something, but then like if you just dig into the lyrics a little bit, it's hyper intelligent. You know what I mean? And very thought provoking, and just weird and just all over the place.
I always wish he would just like sit down on a stool with a microphone and an echoplex and just speak. How tripped out would that be?
He probably would do that, actually.
Yeah. It's like, turn off all that noise. I just want to hear those words. But yeah, it's great. And I listened to the one we had Becky Cloonan on. Like, props to
love Becky.
Props to you for having a comic creator.
Yeah, absolutely. Has she ever done any art for you?
Nope, never.
I can't remember. I bet she would. Yeah, I'll send you some. I'll send you some numbers after this. Get you some contacts. But Becky's great, man. She did Southern Cross. That was one of my new favorite books, by chance or by providence. She's great. Here I am promoting my own show on my show. Sorry.
Yeah. And she doesn't mince words, which I love. You know, she's not mincing any words. I like it.
Yeah, she's great.
Good attitude.
Oh man. So yeah, that's man. I can't wait to hit the road again. I feel like it's like right on the cusp. Are you thinking about any of that kind of stuff yet, or are you just kind of
Dude, I've been waiting. I've been waiting in line since the line started. Like all I do is keep my space. All the bookings that I had. I keep, going back to promoters going, my space is still there, right? And they're like, yeah. Because the biggest problem is when it opens up again, everybody and their brothers want to play at the same time.
That, and people are just the kind of person that used to go to like, one show a week, they might only have enough money to go to like one show a month. Like competition is going to be fierce. But if you're good enough, you're going to be okay. And it's going to weed out a lot of like small stuff. But I feel, I feel terrible for like just like the bands that were just about to explode, like the new ones, because there's so many great bands out there. If anybody needs some new music, go check out Rickshaw Billy's Burger Patrol. It's a weird name, but it's a great band. Pink Fuzz from Boulder, Colorado. They're great. Sun Voyager. So many bands were just right about to pop off and we're just kind of stopped dead in their tracks. I hope that those bands can actually make it through this and rise above, because
how do you know if a band's going to pop off right now? Like, how do you know?
How do I know?
I know you see it on social media. You see it on people talking about it, or what?
That's all. It's because social media is funny because it's all about perception. And a band can look huge online, but then you look at the numbers and they're not doing any better than any other pub band that plays every Thursday down at BD Riley's or whatever, but like it's all about your image. Like you can't just be in a band anymore. You have to like be an actor and a video editor and like all this other stuff that like goes into it. So it's weird. It's weird for a band to pop off. And you can also you can never predict where lightning's gonna strike. Some bands are just gonna get huge, boom, out of nowhere and just be there forever. And just like labels have been trying to predict that for years. And you just can't do it. That's why I don't know. Some people, like, when a band gets big, they start shitting all over them for no reason. But I'm so happy for anybody that achieves any level of success these days, because it's fucking impossible. I mean, it was impossible before, but it's really, really difficult now.
Yeah, and even the old big management structures can't make stuff happen anymore.
No way. There's just no way. I mean, there's always going to be that, like, major label is going to have their $3 million marketing budget that they're going to throw at their pop star, and that's just going to work. Like, it's just, you know, whether it sinks or it's either going to be the biggest thing ever, or it's going to fail so big that it's going to, at least you're going to get a story out of it or something, you know, and
yeah, exactly. There'll be some sort of echo about it. I wish they try it with another rock band. I can't remember the last rock band that would have on a big label. What was it, like Wolf Mother?
Maybe.
I mean, that was
even that was 15 years ago.
Or were you guys on a major?
We never signed to a major. We were on this little label out of New York called Kamado that was not a metal label at all. We kind of wanted to distance ourselves in an attempt to not be pigeonholed as just another stoner rock band, which didn't really work, but that's fine. You can't control people's perception of you, as no matter how much money you pay a PR company. If people feel a certain way about you, they're just gonna feel that way, and you're locked in.
It has nothing to do with anything. It's kind of a nightmare now, because people are bred to read the brand.
Yep,
they're bred. I mean, there's no time for people to, and a lot of listeners don't put in the time to realize the subtleties of style.
Yeah,
they will look. I mean, rock and roll always was, I don't know how much percent, but maybe 60% music and 40% look. Now it's, as far as most people are concerned, they look at something and, you got long sideburns. It's like stoner rock.
Yep.
And it's like, shit, well, hold on a second. Nope, too late. You've been branded.
You know what I think is funny is the stoner rock bands that don't smoke weed. Like, they make this whole sound based, I don't know. It's not like it's a contest. Don't get me wrong. It's funny when, like, you just see this, super stoner rock band, and you go backstage. I try to, like, hang out with them, say what's up, smoke a joint. They're like, oh, I don't smoke. It's like, none of y'all smoke weed? Like, what's appealing about this to you? You should try smoking weed and listening to your own band. You might really like it.
I have to admit, I don't smoke weed anymore, because I just smoked so much in my life that now it just makes me totally paranoid.
You did your time. It's okay.
Oh yeah, I definitely did my time. It pisses me off so much. As my old friend weed, like, why are you betraying me?
Yeah.
Why are you betraying me? But yeah, I did all that stuff in the 70s.
Yeah. Was drugs for you personally, I guess, like, because I mean, there's no argument that Monster Magnet is definitely, like, kind of just drugs are, like, associated with that imagery and everything like that. But were drugs themselves for you personally, like, a part of the show experience, or was it more of like after the show's done, that was your reward for a job well done?
It was totally that. Yeah, it's like I tried it every way I could. Like, I had a head full of Monster Magnet started because I had a whole head full of recent memories of my teenagehood, which was in probably the most drug cultured, at least seemingly drug cultured time in America, which was late 60s, early 70s. I mean, my memories are all like in black light, that's what it was. Head shops, Zap comics, Jethro Tull albums, black light posters, hookahs, the whole thing. Freaks, total freaks. When I was a kid, that's who I grew up with, those people. And those sorts of records. And I did it, LSD and all that stuff. And so it was such an impression on me that by the time Monster Magnet came around, which was years later after that, I was in another band before that called Shrapnel, which is like a power punk band, CBGB's band. But that wasn't my music. When I finally got to my own music, which is like in the mid 80s, all this memory of that came out. Mm-hmm. So I was just feeding off my memories of that time and writing about it, and wrote Spine of God and Tab and all this stuff about that kind of culture. And it was that kind of culture was so unhit back then that it was great because it just pissed everybody off. Nobody liked it in my neighborhood. You know? They're like, who are these fucking hippies? You know, I just grew my hair again, you know, and grew like a devil beard and drove it around in a black Camaro, like, fuck you, you know, the hippies are back. And it just pissed off all the punk rockers. But the actual drugs, no. I was just going off my perception. And then I tried it. I was like, yeah, all right. Now I'm going to get high and write some songs. And they all sounded like the Grateful Dead. So I was like, too much noodling. So I went just, again, trying to create a psychedelic experience from memory. Mm-hmm. And believe me, I did enough acid that I think if I sat down here and squeezed my appendix long enough, I'd probably start tripping again.
Yeah, sometimes I feel that way too, where I'm just like, you can almost like meditate and go there a little bit if you've done enough. Not that anyone should, you know. It's like I said, it's not a contest. Drugs are fun, but drugs are different than they used to be, man. Like there's so much. Like if you buy some cocaine, you're not. I don't even think there's any cocaine in that bag, you know, or whatever. It's
there's all kinds. They've gotten very good at creating a lot of synthetic stuff that adds to it.
Yeah,
not a very trustworthy time, I would imagine.
No, not at all. So yeah.
The 21st century, I would imagine, is an odd time to do a lot of psychedelics as well. There's just so much information, you know, so much information in your head.
Yeah, I haven't done a wizard trip in a long time, and I just, you know, I might actually freak out.
Can you imagine sitting in your afternoon in your house, tripping your balls off, and watch them storm the Capitol? You would totally freak out. Holy shit! It's too much, you know.
Oh my god!
What the hell's going on here?
Yeah, for real. I don't even. What a world. Did you think it would be like this?
No. You know, I thought that we were going to go into a long stretch of monetized mediocrity. Mm-hmm. I thought we were going to, you know, everything was going to be shined up and polished, and somebody along the way would have like worked out some sort of financial system in the country and the world to allow robotics and stuff to take over people's jobs, but the people would still be taken care of. I didn't realize, you know, in my dumb youth, I didn't realize that things like oil companies, corporations wouldn't give up holding on to their old ways of doing things, and they would squeak every last bit of work out of the populace, you know, because I mean, it was really designed. If you look at the design for computers and robotics and stuff in the 50s and stuff, that was all designed for people to work less. Uh-huh. You know, that was the goal, was that in the future, Americans will work less, 3 days a week or something. Robots and stuff will take care of most of the hard shit. And then we'll basically pay them to be, you know, we'll basically keep the costs down. Not get rid of capitalism, but keep the costs down so they can live this better life. What happened, though, is, you know, capitalism just went unregulated and everybody started stealing them. And now we just fill with a bunch of scumbags. Just, you know, I probably shouldn't be surprised, but yeah, I mean, politics didn't change for the worse. And money rules and fuck everybody else, you know? Yeah. It's terrible. And there's really no heroes around here on either sides of these things.
That's very, very true.
There's no, you know, contrary to what you watch on, what people watch on TV and what news station they watch, everyone's pretty much in the same boat on all the news stations, which is promote conflict, get the ratings, and you know, hope that everything works out. It's not very you know, it's going to take a while.
Yeah,
I think it'll work out okay, but you know, probably the best thing to do these days is to stay out of overt politics and just, you know, if you're going to get into it, you vote for your local guy.
Yeah,
you make sure your local guy's cool, and everybody makes sure their local guys are cool, and those are the people that'll wind up in Congress someday. Mm-hmm. Because right now, it's a freak show.
It's scary, man. Like, it's just I don't trust anybody in politics, because I mean, no matter what
you shouldn't.
Your purest intentions, you know, going into politics, even if you have the best intentions, like the game just corrupts you, and you can't win unless you're a complete fucking scumbag. And so it turns people, and it's just I try to stay out of it. But yeah, focusing on your local representatives. That's
the only way I could.
Where to start.
And it's easy to do. It's not hard. That's pretty easy. And it's weird. America is one of those places where it's the only place in the world that allowed generations of people just basically to fuck off. I mean, where else, what other country in the world could I, like a high school dropout, form a drug rock band, stick both middle fingers up in the air and sing about like having sex with planets for 30 years without having a day job?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, I think I'm going to write a song that sounds like Hawkwind and get it on the radio. I mean, that's impossible. I never could have done it. But the country asked every once in a while to pay attention. And nobody did this time.
Yeah.
And that's how we got that. That's where you got the whole Trump thing, like lunatic, Hey, let's just get a lunatic in there. Yeah. Let's see what happens,
Yeah.
So hopefully, everybody will learn their lesson and get back to business.
I hope so. I'm looking forward to it. I just want to tour so bad. The first show I get to play, I'm probably just gonna cry. I'm just gonna like.
Only me too. Dude.
Just weep on stage just for 5 minutes. Be like, thank you all so much.
I spent so much time on the road. In my life, that is a lot of times that seems like that's more my normal life than being home.
Yeah, me too. It's just I feel at home when my body is moving forward at about 80 miles an hour. Like that's when I actually feel.
What is
like
it about that?
Something.
It affects your consciousness. It actually tweaks it to a higher level. I think.
Mm-hmm.
I notice my decision making is better. My comprehension is better.
My capacity for like work, like I can do more physically if I'm like trapped in a van for 8 hours or whatever, and just get out and I just want to like devour the world,
Yeah, exactly. You explode out, you shoot out of the van after like conserving energy for that.
Yeah. Well, man, thanks so much for coming on. It was great talking to you. I cannot wait to see y'all again. It's just it's a damn pleasure. You're one of my heroes. So just thanks for
having me on,
for sticking
man.
in there for as long as you have, because I fucking love Monster Magnet, and don't quit for any reason, please.
No, I've been doing it for so long. I love music.
Yep.
Music is the one thing that never lets you down.
It's very true, and I don't see it changing anytime soon. Speaking of music, do you want to play a track? I don't know if you have anything new that you can play off the covers record, but would you like to play a Monster Magnet song for everybody? We could do the Donovan cover if you want. Give people.
That's true. Sure, play that. That's
something
fine.
To
it's only like 11 minutes long. Right?
Hey, it's my
show. 11 minutes
long. I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, all right, to play that.
Yeah, you got it, man. Awesome. Thanks so much, Dave.
No problem, Kyle.
All right, you take care, bud.
Take care, man.
Bye.
12 kingfisher birds you shall have. Dive and swim in the ripples of your lap. Oh, I dreamed you were a jewel sitting on a golden crown. My head, my head, my head. Look at the tiny ocean. My head, my head, my
Thanks so much for tuning into The Highway this week. A big shout out to Reverend Guitars, Railhammer Pickups, and Earthquaker Devices. If you liked what you heard, you can follow where you can follow, subscribe where you can subscribe, and if you want to go one step further, you can support us on Patreon at The Highway with Kyle Shutt. For a few bucks a month, you can help us keep this party going, get early access to next week's episode, and even get yourself a shout out.